Hello, my name is Peter Sommer and I am the saxophone professor at Colorado State University here in Fort Collins. And today I'm going to discuss how to prepare this year's Colorado All-State Band Audition Etudes for saxophone. Specifically, I'm going to discuss the etude by Heinz in C major on page 2 of the Voxman selected studies. Curiously enough, our excerpt from the etude in the key of C major begins in the key of E flat major. Thinking ahead to dealing with the B flats in this section of the etude, I believe it is easier to use the bis B flat key as opposed to side B flat. There is only one isolated B natural in the third measure, and it is not immediately preceded or followed by a B flat or A sharp. So it is not necessary to use side B flat, and it is much easier from a technical standpoint to move from A flat to B flat using the bis key, which we will do several times in this section. If you are much more comfortable using side B flat, then that is fine, but if you are familiar with both fingerings, I believe it will feel more relaxed to use the bis B flat fingering. It is important to use a consistent and sustained airstream throughout the 16th notes in this passage in E flat. The leaps in the second and third measures will be cleaner and less likely to have response issues if we maintain air pressure across the skips while slurring. Pay special attention to the large leaps up, which can sometimes be accompanied by unnecessary motion at the embouchure and an inconsistent airstream. These upper notes in the second and third measures will have a natural and an expressive accent when played with an even airstream while slurring. Likewise, when playing the hairpin dynamics in measure 4, make sure the dynamic changes are present without being overdone. The natural shape of this scalar line will demonstrate these dynamics with only a little bit of help from the performer. If you are concerned that you are doing too much or too little, record yourself playing the passage and see if you can hear these subtle dynamic fluctuations. Experiment with different degrees of dynamic change and settle on the right amount of air volume in order to make sure these dynamic changes are present without feeling forced or overly dramatic. The first 16 measures of this excerpt also give us a great chance to demonstrate our control of an expressive vibrato by taking advantage of the held notes throughout. As with the 16th note passages, maintain a consistent airstream and air pressure and use the jaw to generate the vibrato. Also be sure to think of the vibrato as clearly starting at the center of pitch and then moving the pitch down and then back up, always releasing the note after returning to the center of pitch. The polka retard in measure 8 is a great chance for us to be expressive by exaggerating both the change in tempo and bringing out the diminuendo at the end of that measure. Also, be sure to take a nice full breath at the end of this phrase before re-entering at mezzo forte in the original tempo in the next measure. Also, we must reach a nice strong forte at measure 13 in order to have an effective tapering away at the end of these first 16 measures. One of the highlights of the second half of this etude are the staccato articulations in the scalar passages and the alternating slurs and staccatos played in thirds beginning in the fourth measure. As this is one of our only chances to really demonstrate our skills and comfort in the area of articulation, it is very important that we pay close attention to accurately reading the articulations as they are notated in the etude. It can sometimes be difficult to layer the articulations onto the very detailed work we have done to play the notes and rhythms accurately. and I find it much easier in the long run to hear the articulations as a part of the phrase from the very beginning. If it is challenging for you to add in the articulations right away, begin your practice of the passage at a slower tempo so that you feel more comfortable and under control. Slow and accurate practice always leads to better performance in the long term. Be sure to lean into the accents that start in the fourth measure of the second half. Because of the nature of the instrument, higher notes can sometimes leap out of the texture even when they shouldn't be accented. In this case, by emphasizing the lower note of each pair and even imagining a very quick diminuendo into the upper note, we can really bring out the jaunty character of these passages. Pay special attention to the point at which the pattern reverses itself in the seventh measure. While there are plenty of logical points to breathe in the first half, in the second half we have to be a little more analytical. Where do the smaller phrases begin and end within this larger phrase? How many breaths do I actually need to play all the way through the rest of the etude comfortably? Each of the phrases in the first and second measures can be heard as a phrase unto itself, so by breathing at the ends of these measures, we are not breaking up any important harmonic resolutions. I would breathe at the end of the second measure. I would take the next breath at the end of the next two measure phrase, and I would add a very slight retard and use of rubato there as well before breathing and re-entering. The main reason for this is to get a full enough breath to be able to play comfortably through the next phrase, which is going to be longer in comparison. In order to avoid breaking up the natural phrasing, we will need to play a full four measure phrase, resolving into the G natural on the downbeat of measure 9 of this half. I will follow this up with a quick catch breath before playing the oscillating passage between G and F sharp. Hopefully this will give me enough air to play comfortably down to the low C at the end of the excerpt with good response and a pleasant tone quality. Now that we have covered some of the specific challenges of this etude, here is a full performance for your reference. I hope these observations will be helpful to you as you prepare this etude. It has been fun to share them with you. Thanks so much, and take care.